Lighting designer Tom Campbell is part of UK creative design collective MIRRAD. So we visited the MIRRAD office in Park Royal, London to hear about what he's been doing during the pandemic and the lockdown periods. Looking forward to the industry restarting, this includes the launch of a new practical and stylish clothing brand for working production crew and techs. How do you know this location?
This is the MIRRAD studios in West London where we create our shows. What
else goes on here?
Well, there's a bit of socialising. Recently, not so much, I'll be honest with you. This is the first time I've been in the office for a while. But yeah, this is the hub of the collective that is MIRRAD.
When did you first get interested in lighting? What sort of sparked your interest?
When I first started going to concerts as a punter. So I used to play drums in the band. And I started going to see bands like Muse and Motorhead. And I quickly saw a correlation between the drums, which is the backbone of the music, and the lights following the drums, because they just sync in beautifully. So I was very lucky and very fortunate that my school, my secondary school, Colston's in Bristol, had a very well-equipped theatre. Probably 40 or 50 generic fixtures, which is very important to learn first before you look at the moving heads. But we also had 4 moving heads that were controlled on a fat frog, and I was one of the people who figured out how to use the fat frog to a certain level. I also realised very quickly that if I was part of the school production, I got to miss lessons. So that was a little bonus. It wasn't the full driving force, but
so you started off basically lighting school productions.
Exactly, yeah. And then by the end of secondary school in year 11, before I left, I was teaching an after-school club for the year 7s, 8s, and 9s to try and pass on some information.
And how did it develop from there?
So from there, I went to Filton College in Bristol and I did a technical theatre course, and I wasn't necessarily specialising in lighting at the time. We did sound, and I enjoyed doing the sound side of it. One of my favourite things I did was the makeup section, where I did a Wolverine scratch across someone as my final piece, and that was fun. But I ended up specialising in lighting because that's what my passion was, and I don't regret it for 1 second.
When was your first professional job?
It was a local crew member at the Bristol Bristol Hippodrome, and then the Bristol Academy, so around the same sort of time. Literally knocked on the door. I spoke to the stage door person, ended up speaking to Pete Loft, who was the head electrician at the time. Just pushing boxes and loading the incoming productions in, and doing some of the follow spots, and just being there for whatever those production needed, which gave you a nice variant across different productions, seeing how different shows fit into the space, and because I was thinking from a designer's point of view, I could see, right, so they've done this because of that, but the last show did something to achieve the same thing that was different. So
it was a good learning place.
Oh, 100%. It just in a real world environment, learning how to wire 16 amp plugs and learning how to pick up a flight case properly without ruining your back. You know what I mean? So yeah, the real world School of Hard Knocks vibe.
And then you went on tour, I believe, from there, didn't you?
Yeah, so from there I was doing a loadout of Avita, which I ended up to be chief elect of 3 or 4 years later. And at the end of the loadout, a guy called Jim Potter came up to me and said, would you like to come on tour with the production I'm about to take out, which was Cabaret. And we did that for 18 months together. Since
then you've worked with a lot of very cool bands and artists, and have you actually found that your music's been helpful in designing and operating light shows?
One thing that's come out of lockdown, this forced sabbatical, is I've started listening to music for fun again, which is kind of nice. But yeah, to answer your question, my background in music is always there. When
did you join MIRRAD? And just for the record, MIRRAD are a creative lighting and visual design collective based in West London.
2016, I think September 2016. Earlier on in the year, I was designing a show for a band called Bullet for Valentine, who are a Welsh metal band. And I'd come in and I borrowed Jamie's desk to program the show, and I haven't really left. I enjoyed the working environment so much they can't get rid of me. So yeah, it's a nice place to work. It's a nice place to create. And if I don't necessarily know something about a certain bit of new technology, someone here will. and we can have the creative conversation about how to push that technology further. And sometimes, if you don't necessarily know how to use a bit of software and you're just trying to figure it out by yourself, it's you end up getting a different result, a different end result out of the same piece of software as someone else might do. So it's nice to be in an environment where we can all share creative ideas.
What were you doing immediately before the lockdown?
Oh, it seems like a long time ago now, doesn't it? Just before the lockdown, I was on tour with a band called The Subways, an English indie rock band, and the tour had hardly got going. If I'm honest with you, I don't think we even had taken the floor package out of the tour. We're still doing the underplay tours, the underplay shows of the tour, which is a bit of a shame. But hopefully soon those shows might get rescheduled, and we'll see if there's that little bit of light at the end of the tunnel.
What have you been doing for the rest of the last year?
Mainly live streams on the lighting front. I've done a couple of music videos, but it's mainly live streams. The last one I did was with a band called Tesseract, where we changed how we approach the medium, because you're no longer designing for the human eye, you're designing for camera lenses. So we could do some techniques that weren't visible to the naked eye, which was quite a nice challenge. So that was interesting to do, and really pushed the boundaries of how you approach a show as a designer for me, which was fun. In my personal life, I've been a full-time dad, which I absolutely love. I've also become a foster carer, which is something that is extremely important to us. But yeah, from a personal side, having this time off it's been tricky, don't get me wrong, but to spend a whole year from my son's 2nd birthday to his 3rd birthday at home with him is something that you just don't get as a dad. So I'm trying to look at this very, very positively.
You've also had time to launch STNDBY Technical Gear,
Yeah.
which is a new sort of clothing and accessories brand, isn't it?
Yeah,
Designed by the industry for the industry.
Absolutely.
What was the concept behind this? What made you think of the idea, and how did it develop?
So it's been a concept for a long time, probably 3 years or so. It's been one of these sort of ideas that me and my business partner have been discussing. He's also my brother-in-law, so it's usually at family gatherings. We're just chatting, going, what if? Wouldn't it be cool if? You know what I mean? And it'd be an idea. We trademarked the name about 3 years ago, so we're very certain we wanted to use STNDBY. It is ethically sourced clothing and tech aimed at our industry. It's not exclusive to our industry, because since we've launched the Instagram page, we've noticed that cabin crew are on standby for their flights, pit crew are on standby for the race. So we may have accidentally been a little bit clever with the branding, but yes, it's primarily aimed at our industry, from Amdram to stadium tours, from the audio engineer to the makeup artist to the camera crew. It's everyone. And we've had a focus group of a mix of industry professionals, and we discussed what their issues were with either free swag or clothing that they would buy from normal shops, from other brands. And we saw some trends appearing. So, for example, clipping your radio up here and pulling and ripping your fabric was one of them that came out. On our show day t-shirt, we have a nice little, let's pop that one down, a nice little clip for your radio, so that it's no longer an issue, and that's one of the things I'm quite proud of. And then anything that we bring out that will be on your top half will have that. That's our little unique thing. One problem for me, I personally used to put my Sharpie up the cap here, just up the side, and one warm day in Budapest, my Sharpie leaked, and for 3 days I had a black smudge down my face, which isn't a great look. Well, we created the STNDBY show day cap with a pouch for a Sharpie, or any sort of pen or a pencil. Even makeup brushes have gone in there. We've seen some people using that. Vape pens, anything, whatever you want to put up there. But it's just another little stealthy little place to put an item.
Can you show me the USB stick?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that's very cool.
People don't like using adapters, and if you're using a certain brand of computer, you have adapters in every single pocket of your bag. So this is a USB stick, 64 gigabyte, nothing groundbreaking there. but we've got micro USB hidden away in there. Say you want to take something off a GoPro. We've also got USB-C, so you can take something straight from a MacBook to an audio console or to a media server without any adapters. So yeah.
And the full range is available via your website?
Yeah, everything's currently available from standbyworld.com. A percentage of our profits will be going directly to Backup, who is a charity aimed at helping crew members who need it. So yeah, there's that element of giving back into the industry as well, which was from day one was very important to us.
How important has a charity like Backup been in the last year?
Oh, if you're not aware of Backup, they are a technical charity aimed at giving back to the industry, to crew members who are on dire times, and obviously in the last year they have been the toughest times, haven't they? So yeah, Backup are a fantastic charity. If you're not aware of them, please go and Google Backup the technical charity right now, pause this video and go and have a check them out. But Brian Leach, who was the founder of MIRRAD, was a huge supporter of them. It was incredibly important to him, and he was always talking about them, and that's how I became aware of them. He sadly passed a couple of years ago, and our flagship bag, the Leach, is named after him. And from day one of Standby, we wanted to make sure that this is a brand for crew, by crew, and that involves giving back in a way as well. So yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to say?
Everybody's found this tough, and it won't be forever. There is light at the end of the tunnel. We will be coming out of this, and when we come out of this, we'll be stronger than ever. If anything, it's going to be slightly chaotic, and we're going to be almost reminiscing back to these days of the time off. But the thing about our industry in general is everybody is very passionate about what we do. It's not just a job, it's a passion. So everyone's missing this huge sense of purpose, and that's why it's harder for some people. And everybody's been there. So if you're feeling, if you have been struggling, you're genuinely not alone. Everybody, myself, everybody at MIRRAD have been missing what we do, and we're just eager to get back to it.